Hey, hello everybody. Welcome back for another video. Hope that you're all doing well. Hope you're all doing great and that you're all having a fantastic morning, afternoon, and or evening. Don't forget to follow me on social media. There are links in the description below. And without any further ado, let's jump right into it. Very crazy times for the cryptocurrency space, for the cryptocurrency market. We keep getting a lot of heavy news as to where the market and where things are going to go. It would be extremely unorthodoxly weird right now if anyone was remotely bearish on the market. The last bit of bear crumbs that we have right now have to do with the idea of any remaining tariff news and basically the Fed not lowering interest rates or whatever the actual case might be. The amount of Bitcoin accumulation news that we've received in the last 2 weeks has also been a little bit shocking. We had news a couple of days ago, for those of you who missed it. The amount of inflows into Bitcoin ETFs, I believe last week or something like that, totaled around 3 billion. That's billion with a B. US dollars. The ETFs in the United States alone continue to move ever closer to 2 million Bitcoin. Not 200,000, but 2 million Bitcoin. We've also received a lot of news that in the last month or two, there have been an egregious amount of countries and sovereign wealth funds who have also begun to buy large amounts of Bitcoin because countries and companies and governments and central banks around the world have begun to move away from the US dollar because of high levels of uncertainty as to what could actually come next. The interesting part is that they're all moving in one direction, and I'm pretty sure you can figure that out. Sovereign wealth funds. State-owned investment pools managing national savings are increasingly viewing Bitcoin as a strategic asset. This was said by someone called D'Agostino told CNBC, their participation signals growing institutional confidence in cryptocurrency's role in modern finance. One thing for you to always remember, I don't care if it's even a dollar. A dollar is also just as symbolic. We keep getting news that countries are putting billions, we have confirmation at this point, guys. I don't know what this lackadaisical, everyone kind of not really panicking to try and get as much crypto as they possibly can thing is, but understand that you are going to be left behind if you're not paying attention. I need to make that as crystal clear as humanly possible. We've gotten to the point where we are now competing against countries. Have you thought about that? It's no longer just us buying crypto at a slow pace. These countries are buying massive amounts. Even if it was a dollar, it's an incredible idea that a country, multiple countries, are spending billions of dollars. Not on roads, not on infrastructure, not on keeping their currency stronger or doing upgrades or whatever they might need to do. They're putting that money into Bitcoin. These entities, which collectively oversee trillions of dollars globally, could reshape Bitcoin's market dynamics through large-scale, long-term holdings. D'Agostino cited Three factors behind the trend. The first is the de-dollarization. Yes, this has been going on since around, I want to say, the early 90s, but it was around 0.5% of what we're currently seeing right now. I've mentioned this before in other videos. I know a lot of people may not be paying attention to a lot of other financial news or a lot of other news in general. It's totally understandable because it's too much. It's a gigantic overload. Like every 14 seconds, there's something new and crazy entering the news. However, since news about the tariffs, really, it's been since February. This is why I said, in case you missed it or missed any of the videos, since around February, a number of countries have openly expressed that they don't like the idea of tariffs. The tariffs, obviously, but they came completely out of nowhere. And the problem is, on top of that, the idea of firing Jerome Powell, the person whose job it is to basically keep the US dollar stable, has rattled other world markets. This idea that the United States might soon, even by March, April 2026, have a completely different monetary policy that devalues the entirety of the US dollar. A lot of other countries buy and hold US dollars and US treasuries as a form of stability. If the world reserve currency isn't stable, what do you move into? This is why we've seen a big push up in gold's price and why you have been seeing so much news recently about countries and sovereign funds buying large amounts of Bitcoin. They're looking for imagine having to buy Bitcoin for stability. First, de-dollarization fears have escalated following U.S. tariff announcements in early April, promoting funds to diversify away from dollar-denominated assets. He said, and I quote, "If you believe that's going to have a spillover effect on global trade, if you believe there's going to be less global trade, much of which is denominated in U.S. dollars, then you'd expect lower demand for U.S. dollars." D'Agostino told the CNBC host Andrew Ross Sorkin. I don't know why they needed his whole name. He said, and I quote, "That's what we refer to as de-dollarization. Well, one of the ways Bitcoin is used by these large pools of capital is that they buy it with their local fiat currency, hold it, and sell it into dollars when needed," he continued. Second, he remarked that Bitcoin is decoupling from tech stocks and being bundled into the levered tech trade post C19. Finally, institutions see Bitcoin as a gold-like hedge amid inflationary pressures, with its scarcity and non-sovereign status offering unique appeal. This is like the third time that we've gotten news. No. It's more than three in the last month or so. We had news from Bank of America. We had news from Fidelity. We had, what was the other banking thing? Maybe it was Standard Chartered? I can't really remember. We've had multiple, and also the BlackRock thing, but we don't have to go over that once again. We've had multiple companies, institutions, banks, analysts in the last 4 weeks all coming forward talking about everyone is rapidly moving away from the US dollar because they're all afraid. They are terrified that something even worse is going to happen with the dollar, and they're beginning to diversify. This is why you're also seeing a lot more companies in the last few years and also in the last 4 months getting into Bitcoin as well. Yes, that's just more, I guess, de-dollarization news. It's weird. As I said before, we're witnessing the end of the US dollar. I just assumed we had another 20, 30, 40 years potentially of like a stronger dollar, but that's not the way that things are turning out. Especially if we get any more like real like tariff fear news, it's not gonna bode well for the US dollar. That's more de-dollarization news. And yeah, Let's move on. Also in, okay, a lot of popular news right now in crypto is ironically or weirdly surrounding the SEC. For those of you who missed it, the SEC has a brand new Gary Gensler. His name is Paul Atkins, and he is believed to be hyper pro awesome amazing crypto guy. Apparently he likes crypto very much. He has mentioned recently that he is going to do everything in his power. What's the name was also in the news? Hester Pierce. This was like 3 days ago. She was talking about that cryptocurrency companies are currently, if you remember it, she said they're currently playing The Floor is Lava with the lights off. And it was like, okay. Anywho, yes, they have basically promised that they are going to usher in a brand new regulatory era for cryptocurrencies, and it's going to be monumental. The new Securities and Exchange Commission chairman, his name is Paul Atkins, said he sees tremendous benefits in digital assets and plans to work with lawmakers to create a regulatory framework for the crypto sphere. A statement made in his first public appearance at the Cryptocurrency Roundtable on his 4th day in office. I wonder how they're going to do this. This is a real question. The reason why, so they said, but it also makes sense. It makes entirely logical sense. Like, this isn't, okay, got it. The SEC said before, if you missed those videos, this was about 6 months ago, they said the reason why they didn't give comprehensive cryptocurrency regulations is because of scams. The idea being, imagine you create a product for the public and you say, hey, we are putting it on a blockchain. It's going to have this and it's going to have so and so. And the SEC says, okay, in order for your thing to be legal and to be okay for the American public, you need to show that not only is it on a blockchain, that you have, I'm making these numbers up, but this is what they said. It's on a blockchain. It has at least 100 validators, at least 100 nodes, and they're in different countries around the world. And your coin, as it is released, it has to be mined, or if it is pre-mined, you basically have to make sure that less than 10% is going to the company who made it. Cool. The problem is, they said, is that you could have all those things and then still have another company rug pull it or make sure that they have 101 validators as they launch. And then the next day they only have 5 validators run by the 5 people who created the actual project. And it sounds far-fetched. And then you look at all the meme coins and you go, oh yeah, that could totally actually happen. So I wonder exactly what kind of regulations they're going to actually give that will make sense. He said, I look forward to engaging with market participants and working with my colleagues in President Trump's administration and in Congress to create a rational, targeted regulatory framework for crypto assets, he said on the 25th of April. Atkins said digital assets have the potential to bring tremendous benefits, including risk mitigation and cost savings. The article continues going on, but cool. A lot of people seem to think that this SEC, the newly formed Justice League SEC, is going to bring about great things. At this point, as I said before, I have only known an SEC that's been terrible. Even when we had Jay Clayton, he was also a bit of a monster. He's the guy who launched the lawsuit against Ripple. And Gary Gensler said, hold my blockchain, and completely decimated the place. So I will see what they end up doing. There's also now a bunch of the ETFs are coming to fruition, or whatever the word might be there. There's supposed to be a lot of yays and nays, hopefully a lot of yays for cryptocurrency ETFs from the SEC over the course of May and June. Yeah, remember in January, we were like, okay, we got to wait till summer. Here we are. Let's see if they actually end up allowing a lot of those through. That's the Paul Atkins news. And yeah, let's move on. Also in the news, the governor of the Bank of Ghana, the BOG, Johnson Asiama, announced that the central bank plans to begin regulating cryptocurrency and related platforms by the end of September of this year, pending the passage of the Virtual Asset Providers Act. Speaking in Washington, D.C., Asiama stated that the Bank of Ghana is establishing a dedicated digital assets unit, recognizing that this technology cannot be prevented. Finally, someone says it. This move contrasts with the BOG's 2018 public notice that did not recognize cryptocurrencies under Ghanaian law and cautioned against their use, but that was hopefully a very different time in history. It was not just Ghana who did it. There were at least like 47 countries who all popped up at some point to talk about cryptocurrencies being illegal, or people shouldn't use them, or you'll get thrown in the slammer for them. Like, really, it was like don't forget, a lot of people keep forgetting, there's a lot of like really weird like Russia news right now when it comes to crypto. There, first of all, for those of you who, I'm not going to, whatever. The point is, it's not in this video and probably never will be. Russia's making their own like state-run cryptocurrency exchange. Do you know who it's going to be for? It's only for rich people. Do you remember, this was about 2017, 2018. Russia was creating a law that said they were trying to make crypto legal as far as like who could use it, who could buy it, who could trade it, whatever. Do you remember that at all, for those of you who forgot? The law basically said if you make less than, I think, $1 million or something along those lines, you then are only able to, I think, hold around $2,000 worth of crypto. If you held any more, it was a criminal offense. If you made over $1 million, you could buy as much crypto as you wanted. And I was like, So we're now seeing, and I mean, it was just a matter of time, but it's also like, okay, just a matter of time before all these governments kind of like get it together and realize what's actually going on. But once again, when I tell you, a lot of times, like when we get the news, understand that they get the news. So we hear that this company is like, yeah, we're into crypto, but behind the scenes, they know the people who like actually like help that company and how much money they're throwing into it and how much money there is to be made. There's still a lot of countries around the world who are going to fight this tooth and nail, but I mean, that's also their issue for the future. The people who get this right, who create proper cryptocurrency regulations, they are going to get all the money. What was it recently? I think it was Nigeria who was announcing, oh yeah, now we're gonna make like actual cryptocurrency. Like, you know, let's like bring back all the companies. Let's work with them. And I was like, you kidnapped the guy from Binance for like 9 months. Like, what do you think people want to go back? What if you have a change of heart? What if you become crazy again? Nobody wants to do business in your country. There are other places who literally have a 0% tax rate for crypto. I can understand 5%. I can even see 10%. And on a good day, maybe 15%. You have a 47% tax rate. You have a 50%. Why would I want to do business there? At what point would that make sense? Asiama also discussed broader strategies for improving U.S.-African trade and investing, emphasizing macroeconomic credibility, strategic autonomy, financial system resilience, and risk mitigation. Good luck to them. I hope they get it. I hope they get it correct. We have not ever, I don't remember ever talking about Ghana in the cryptocurrency space. They've never been in the news. is usually Nigeria. We had some South Africa news for a while. And I want to say another country, but I don't remember the name at the moment. Anyway, cool. Hope you get it correct. Hope people go to your country to go do business with you. I'm glad you didn't wait forever, because a lot of crypto investors are waiting forever to invest in crypto. And once again, if there's not enough Bitcoin for 21 MicroStrategy and the United States, I don't know how anyone else is going to actually fare in the future. Cool, fantastic, wow, regulations, can't believe it, awesome, okay. Let's move on. So here we go. Here we go again. Vitalik Buterin is back in the news. He has proposed swapping out the Ethereum virtual machine, which is literally like the system. Vitalik Buterin has proposed swapping out the EVM, the Ethereum virtual machine, with a 100x faster RISC-V to enhance scalability. Ethereum's market sentiment has recovered slightly from extreme negative territory seen in early April. Slightly. We have had Ethereum upgrade, update, get better, get faster news since 2016. One of the ideas was that by 2017, this cannot be stated enough, was by 2017 for it to have several thousand transactions per second. By the time we got to 2020, we would be above 10,000 to 50,000 transactions per second in 2020. And by golly, by the time we got to 2025, Ethereum would be well over 1 million transactions per second, becoming the actual world computer that they said they wanted to become a number of years ago. As of right now, that still hasn't happened and is probably not going to happen for a very long time. No one has an actual time frame for this. We typically would hear that Ethereum is going to have one major upgrade, one major thing is going to happen, and it usually has a bundle of other things. If you remember last year, for some reason, we heard like 17 different proposals to make Ethereum better, stronger, faster, and more amazinger. None of them have happened. We're supposed to be getting some big updates soon, but that will not make Ethereum what it was basically promised to be. If you missed that video about 5 videos ago, there was also a great amount of controversy because Charles Hoskinson was making fun of Ethereum. For those of you who missed it, Charles Hoskinson was making fun of Ethereum. He was like, yeah, they're not doing great. And then he said Cardano's, what is it called? Not timeline. The thing that they were, constantly working on. He said apparently Cardano's been perfect since 2020. Like they got everything, roadmap. He said the roadmap is done. It was completed in 2020. Cardano's the best coin out there. And people were like, what the funk and waggles are you actually talking about? It just doesn't make a lot of sense. Vitalik Buterin is in the news today after he proposed a major overhaul of Ethereum's execution layer, commonly known as the Ethereum virtual machine. He wants it swapped with the RISC-V, RISC-V, arguing that it's a much simpler and a faster language version for smart contracts. Part of his statement read, and I do quote, if I can get to the words, wherever they might be, there they are. It, overhaul, aims to greatly improve the efficiency of the Ethereum execution layer, resolving one of the primary scaling bottlenecks, and can also greatly improve the execution layer's simplicity. In fact, it is perhaps the only way to do so. Buterin said the move would enhance the ZK EVM zero-knowledge Ethereum virtual machine, proving capabilities and keep block production competitive with 100x efficiency gains. Ethereum is and probably will continue to be for the foreseeable future the most used blockchain on the planet. It does work. The problem is it's just really slow. The other thing is that basically its capacity to actually handle transactions. If you weren't here during 2020, 2021, a major problem actually presented itself. Where before Bitcoin, if like heavily overused, the transaction fees went up to $28. $28 for a transaction on Bitcoin. During 2020 and 2021, Ethereum's transaction fees rose over $80. I remember waking up, I'm not joking. I remember waking up some mornings and I was trying to do things. And I remember it said like $74 and I was like, what are you? And I wake up not pretty early, but I was like, the rest of the world isn't awake yet. That went up to around like several $100s. People were taking screenshots. $228 for a transaction. You might have, if you were here, and I say it this way. People with smaller balances were obviously pretty upset. The only people who weren't complaining were the people who were moving around millions of dollars. They didn't care at all. The transaction fee could have been $1,000, and then guess what? It went there. The highest, I think was $1,200. I think that was the number. And that was when the Bored Ape Yacht Club metaverse launched. Yes, it got really, really, really bad. So, at some point, Ethereum will be fixed. It will be better. It will be quicker. As I always say, I'm not a coder. I'm not a developer. I don't know what it takes or what it entails. It's just more of I've been here since 2016, hearing about this project, being upgraded, being updated, being this, and it's like, just do it. Just do something just do anything. Do anything at this point, and I'm like throw a rock at the machine, and I'm pretty sure it'll rattle it enough that it'll be able to do twice as many transactions. But yeah, there are a lot of other, and I say this lightly, competitors out there. They're nowhere near the adoption level of Ethereum, but also, let's be realistic. You know, as time moves forward, people will simply just take their stuff off of Ethereum and move other places. I think that they can get it done, but it's also just about getting it done. This isn't 2016. This isn't 2017. You can't promise that something's going to happen and then it doesn't, because people will move on. Every other platform, every other chain has smart contracts, has NFTs, has minting, you name it. There's a whole bunch of institutions looking for where to put their money. And I hope it works out for Ethereum. Yeah, I think that's going to do it for this video. I do hope that you've all enjoyed. I do hope you all are having a great day, morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are, wherever the heck you might be. I do hope it is absolutely fantastic. Thank you all once again for watching, listening, liking, commenting, and supporting, and I will most certainly be talking to you all soon. See you.